Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Chaotic Crossover. I am your host, Will.
And I am AJ.
Yeah, AJ has been downgraded from host to novice, unfortunately.
Yeah, apparently I'm now just permanent guest.
Yeah, you know what? We can talk about that later. I didn't want to bring it up in front of all of our negative viewers, but that's how it's going to be. We're doing a brand shift. However, I can say welcome back to the show. This week we are continuing our series on Tales of the Jedi and our reviews there. As you can see, our running gag has still continued. We are fully immersed in the Black Shirt series. This is our Black Suit saga. Someday we're gonna ring a giant bell, and this is gonna jump off of our body.
Yeah. This is our cocoon. We have accountability score improvement was our like larval state or like worm caterpillar. That's the word, not worms. I don't know why I said worms.
It's because we have worms, actually. I should know.
Many ringworms, upper butts, and everything.
Good if you fry them.
Yeah. Now we've cocooned ourselves and we're ready to burst like butterflies. But that can only happen if one of you hears this message. So technically, I'm talking to no one and imploring no one to watch.
Yeah.
So no one is going to, because no one's going to hear my cry.
I know. And my dad, I was actually speaking with my dad, AJ. You were there, and he said, "Why don't you advertise the show?" And I just looked at you and said, "You know what? That's cheating in a way. Don't use our already established platforms. We got to earn it. Got to earn that view.
We gotta earn it just from the content we make. We don't want to rely on our own immense popularity.
Yeah, which is gigantic, just like our fat ass.
Right. You know, secretly we are A-list actors. You've seen us in everything, and if you say you haven't, you're lying.
Yeah, we're actually in every deleted scene ever. So it's hard for you to actually see us, but it's all right. Anyway, we are continuing our series on Tales of the Jedi this week. I'm very excited to talk about this. Now, AJ, we are shifting from Baby Ahsoka over to a new character. Well, not new to us, but new to the series Tales of the Jedi. One Count Dooku. We're going to be following his story along, too.
One could say Baby Dooku.
Yeah, and that's our crossover again. We got it, ladies and gents. We did it. But yes, we actually get to see Baby Dooku in this episode, and by that I mean he's like 40. That's about the age he's at during this period. So, just the quick rundown of this episode. We see, I think this is maybe like 20 years before Phantom Menace. I would say we get to see a Master Dooku along with his Padawan Qui-Gon Jinn, which, by the way, in the animation, looking fucking cut, man.
Oh yeah, like that fucking collarbone, and he always has it like open chest thing. Like we see it the whole time. Like most of the time you see Jedi, they have like the robes that make that V formation, but they have layers of V to cover up everything.
Yeah, no, he's only got one V, and man, does he have something to show under there. His chest is so effing big in this episode. Just a hot young Liam Neeson that they just put in there. So I would say I enjoy that a lot. But basically, Dooku and Qui-Gon are sent to a backwater planet because apparently a senator's son has been kidnapped. They realize that the locals in the town have kidnapped the senator's son because they're not getting treated right. The senator is slimy and gooey and icky and imperialist. Like he literally like looks like he has like one of those like imperialist sneers. But yeah, we get to see that not all things are right in the galaxy, even before the emergence of a Palpatine. You know, we get to see some of the corruption that is going on within the Senate itself. Even when the senator comes in with his own brand of soldiers, he is ready to just straight up kill these people. The senator's son is actually on the people's side because like, oh no, how could my daddy be treating all of these people so poorly?
He's like
It's a real
super cool with the fact that they kidnapped him. Like it's almost implied that he was like, "Hey, you guys should kidnap me.
right.
Maybe it'll get his attention." Because these people, yeah, they're like poor, they're sad, they live in like, like a one of those like really small villages. Their droids are pieces of shit. They have
Yeah,
like a big droid that has like lights out in his eye and stuff, like a scar.
right.
Yeah.
It's like a shitty version of Ahsoka's village, which is honestly saying something. I'm just saying brick and mortar ain't what it used to be, ladies and gentlemen.
It's very like Western frontier poor. It's like after the gold rush ran out and what happened to those towns.
Yeah, yeah, I would say it's very much that and kind of like almost English countryside or like
Oh,
Scottish
sure, yeah.
moors. It's very Scottish moors, but yeah, the people are genuinely poor and their crops are dying and they're not getting the resources they need. So they thought, hey, if we kidnap the kid, maybe we can get some negotiations going.
That'll solve our problems. And so the
Yeah, by the
Jedi come
way,
in.
yeah, the Jedi come in and are basically like, "Oh, okay, so this doesn't really seem like a kidnapping. This just genuinely seems like this kid is
Well,
for
here's
the
the thing.
plight of the people and he's not even
He
tied up. I think he's just sitting
no,
down.
he is like tied up, I think.
Oh, he is tied
Like
up. I think it's for show though,
which I was
basically
gonna
at
say,
that
it's like
point.
you don't have to if he's going willingly and he's not gonna escape, why tie him up? Just like I don't know, give him like a bed or something.
I bet they give him a bed. This is probably their first kidnapping, to be fair. You know,
Oh man,
they
they
don't
could have
realize.
unlike us who've done many, many kidnappings.
Dude, I'm so good. I know how to tie all the right knots. You know, I got the right manacles. I got the camera set up. Nobody's getting away.
Yeah, see, I'm the guy that
Actually,
takes care of the witnesses, so
yeah. And AJ, you know, it's funny. Everyone thinks that we do this because we're partners. It's actually because he's locked up in the room adjacent to me. So this is
yeah,
sort of
that's why you
our
see like the blank wall behind me. There's nothing in this room. I am in like a 5 foot by 5 foot room.
yeah, it's a definite what's that syndrome that they call it?
Stockholm?
Stockholm. Yeah. It's a real
Yeah,
Stockholm syndrome situation. But
yeah, I have a poop corner.
yeah. But it doesn't seem like the senator's son has a poop corner, unfortunately, because every corner is poopy. But the senator comes in, he's like, well, give me my son. And the count's like, hey, stop being a dick. These people are obviously suffering. I think we need to further the investigation here. And of course, this posh British man versus another posh British man is like, on what authority? On the authority of the Jedi. It's like, the Jedi answer to the Senate. Well, we answer to the Republic. It's just a bitching contest between two Brits.
Yeah, yeah, and then Qui-Gon and Count Dooku pull out their lightsabers and their classic like stances. Like
Oh, yeah.
Dooku's got like the curved hilt pose, like the to the side. Qui-Gon's got the classic like baseball bat pose.
Right. That he used in, Phantom Menace. But yeah, I do like it. They stand up for the townspeople who have obviously been wronged, and they're trying to, stand their ground. A lot of the people are actually dying and getting shot. They are not soldiers. And then suddenly, Dooku has just had enough, and he's just like, I may not be a count yet, but you better count your seconds of life you got left, buddy. Puts him in a force choke and just starts moving towards him. And this is where it's like, oh, that's right. Dooku is scary.
Yeah,
He is
he like
very
takes
scary.
out all the other soldiers that the senator brought with him too, and it's like, okay, you're like killing people now. Like, oh, okay, like we get it. You're like this guy's a dick. There's ways to solve this problem. Qui-Gon's like, yo, maybe we shouldn't be doing that. And he like runs inside and he's like, I gotta get the senator's boy to come out and like stop him. And so he's like, dude, you gotta save your dad. And then the little boy, who's okay, not a little boy. He's like
He's like a
probably
teenager. He's
yeah,
probably a
like
freshman in college.
yeah, he's probably like 19 or something. He's like, "Oh, Dad, don't kill my dad." And Dooku's like, "But I want to." And he's like, "No." And then yeah, and then basically they like promise to make things better, I guess.
Which I don't know if they checked up later on, because I feel like change doesn't happen in a day. That's just me. Just saying that. I think it takes time.
What? Yeah, so apparently the senator like because he got threatened by a Jedi had a
Yeah.
change of heart, which like The outcome that I was expecting was he runs back to the Jedi Council and says, "Hey, your guy choked me out. Maybe do something about that." But instead, he's like, "You know what? You were right," or not in so many words, but like, I don't know. It was a weird conclusion.
Yeah, to be fair, I feel like the Jedi kind of are just like diplomatic immunity, in a lot of these scenarios.
Diplomatic immunity.
And then Yoda's probably sitting in the council chamber. They can just smell how many bags of dicks this guy is, and just are like, we're gonna take Dooku's side on this.
Yeah, so I looked it up. So we're like, oh, what the Count Dooku's name? His first name is Dooku.
Oh, what's his last name?
It's Dooku Sereno.
Oh, Sereno.
Sereno.
Isn't that the planet he's from though?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because we should say he's Dooku in this, not Count Dooku. He hasn't left the Jedi Order to kind of take his title. What? Right, and he is illiterate and ill numerical, we'll say. But yeah, I think for Dooku, this is at least a decent episode because you get to see sort of the bits of him that are not very Jedi-esque, because even though it's not the Jedi's place to kind of be, judge, jury, and executioner, you can see that he sees corruption. And
he's very righteous, self-righteous.
He is very righteous, and he feels like there should be a person who, fixes things and takes charge and takes command, which is actually very similar to how Anakin feels in Attack of the Clones, which is kind of funny, of just like, I think there should be one person in charge who really cuts through the bull crap and really gets things done.
And it should be me.
Right. Well, no, neither of them say it should be them, because remember, it's like, who would do it? You? Well, no, maybe not me. Maybe an old man who looks like an asshole mixed with a raisin.
I was going to say maybe an old man who's just like a moldy orange.
Yeah, maybe just a little freak. But there's no little freaks in this episode, unfortunately. No. There is a dog, which is weird to see. Weird to see just a normal ass dog in Star Wars.
Yeah. But like you can see, like, okay, he's gonna follow the dark side, but he's not necessarily like he's not a bad guy, because he is fighting for these people that are lesser. You kind of see where like the separatist mentality comes out, as he's like the main antagonist of the Clone Wars series, really.
Yeah.
So you kind of start to see that form.
Yeah, you could see how he would become president of the Space Confederacy, for sure.
Yeah, and you can see how Qui-Gon is like, even as like an apprentice, is still like the wise one and always the most level-headed, and always like, like he learned how to break the rules from Dooku, as he does when he's like a full Jedi Master and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he does break the rules, but he always breaks the rules for like the good of people. And he's never tempted by the dark side as much as like Dooku is, or Anakin is later, and other characters. But I'd probably say like the weirdest part of this episode is that like whoever voices Qui-Gon like doesn't do an Irish accent.
Yeah.
Or like if they do, it's like, wait, so because like I think Liam Neeson did play it down when he was Qui-Gon. He didn't like necessarily like go full.
Yeah, it was like Irish adjacent. It was kind of more British.
But you could hear it and you could detect it. And I was like listening and I was trying to detect it, and it's like, it's not there. It was interesting. Right. And you kind of see like he's much higher pitched of a voice, and like, I don't know, like the voice acting was interesting. And I'm not saying that the voice actor did a bad job by any means. It just didn't really feel like Qui-Gon at all.
No.
It's not like he's prepubescent. His voice shouldn't be higher.
Yeah, he is like, a grown-ass man. He's like 19 years old. But yeah, I felt that out of all the gripes, that was the only thing. That, along with like the, major diplomatic like conflict that would have emerged from this going on. Although the senator probably got scared shitless to keep quiet after this.
Well, and we haven't watched any more episodes. So maybe it will, because I think they are going to continue the story of Dooku in later episodes. We haven't watched them yet, so maybe something does come out of this. But
Yeah.
from the way they left it off, it was like it's kind of just the senator was just kind of like a dog that was kicked and just kind of like it's like just doesn't do anything because
Yeah.
scary Jedi. But fucking people with power usually like lash out. I feel like
Yeah.
they usually like fight back more. Maybe he will, but
Yeah, maybe he just got neutered. Although I doubt we're going to see that senator. I think it's just going to be sort of a building thing. It's not one bad thing. It's kind of like in Clone Wars, how you see with Anakin. It's many little things that build up
right.
to the turn. So I think we'll get to see at least one more in this, I hope.
Right. Not like it's not like the whole one bad day or anything. It is that, but yeah, it's kind of interesting to explore the Jedi ideologies from different angles and perspectives because that is ultimately what ends. Wow, that is what ultimately winds up being the downfall of the Jedi. Is like, yeah, they all have these certain viewpoints, but they're all different enough the Jedi Order starts to like split and fray and stuff, and not in like we all just like think differently. It's like, no, I think this way, you think this way, and we start to see that pulling apart, pulling at the threads of it. Just cool. I think this series is awesome exploring it, and also just nice and concise. It told the story it wanted to tell. It didn't overstay its welcome whatsoever. It didn't understay its welcome either. I think it was like a really good length of just digestible chunk. This is the moment in the life.
Yeah. So that's a pretty consistent episode. Now we are on the freak scale. How many freaks would you give this show out of 10?
The show overall, or this episode?
Or this episode.
Episode, I'd probably say about an 8. It was good. I liked it.
I will also give it 8 little freaks, simply because there were no little freaks to be had.
Yeah, I think like 8 is like as good as it could be. Like a 9 or a 10 is like I'm really excited about this and I am like loving every second. And I was like, no, it was as good as it can be without that like necessarily of like overness of like, yes, this is awesome. It was just kind of like, yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah. It's casually. 15 minutes. What do you want?
Yeah.
But anyway, great episode for those of you who have already seen it. I'm sure it's been out for 2 years, but if you enjoyed this episode, then you are viewing it at this point already. But anyway, that has been this episode of Chaotic Crossover. I am Will.
And I'm AJ.
All right. Have yourself a great day.